Hello, this is Rob Mazak, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to the Life by Mazak podcast channel. Here on this channel, anything is possible. Any subject will and usually is discussed, and there's no telling how this message will unfold as we work through an idea, through an experience, or through a thought. These subjects come from the vast amount of information and experience through spirit, through life lessons, and from working with a lot of other people. Scripts are never used on this channel, and the message simply unfolds as the subject is discussed. Follow along and see where it leads us, or more specifically, where it leads me. These podcasts are produced in the hopes of helping others to benefit, to grow, and to excel in their own human experience. At Life by Mazak, we work towards helping you achieve wellness for your mind, your body, and your soul using many specialized services. Services that include psychic medium and tarot readings, quantum healing hypnosis, past life regression, intuitive Reiki healing, life coaching, and many other services. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click the like button and share this with others. Our goal is to reach as many people as we can with the knowledge that is shared on this podcast channel. Hello, everyone. As you heard, my name is Rob, and I've been spending the good part of today, and especially this evening, really kind of contemplating existence. I wouldn't say contemplating life, but more about existence. And I think part of it is because I've had a little more time today than I usually do. My job is usually very, very busy, keeps me gainfully employed. But it seemed to slow down some today, and it really kind of gave me the time to really think a little bit more deeply about things. And also, I was kind of vaguely listening to a YouTube during the day today, and it was talking about existence or this reality, this universe, or whatever it is. Where did it come from? Where did this something come from? Did it come from nothing? Could nothing actually be? I mean, so it really got me thinking again along those lines. But I've done a lot of talks about this stuff, and I have had a lot of reflection of my own about it. But how do you describe what existence really means? What does it mean for me, Rob Mazak, to be here, to have this experience or to have these experiences, have emotions and feelings, pain and joy and happiness and sadness and all those things? Where does that come from? What does that mean? That is a very, very tough question to answer, actually. I also found myself with a little more time this evening than I thought I would have for myself. Well, I should say for myself, for reflection. I was on my way over to the gym. I walked over to the gym, which is just across the street. So not many excuses, right? So I live on a camp, and it's not very far to go, and there's a track over there and everything. For some reason, the gym was closed after I got off of work. Not sure why. That doesn't usually happen. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, I got a meeting in about 2 hours. I guess I could make it to the gym in town and still have time to eat and get started on the meeting. But something told me that I just needed to go back to my RV. Now I had time to reflect and to meditate. I love to meditate. I do it as often as I can. But I can tell you recently with work and all the changes that are going on from higher headquarters and lower headquarters and everywhere in between and all these meetings. I mean, I'm sometimes working till, 8 o'clock at night. And so it really doesn't leave me a lot of extra time to meditate. And even if I do, I'm so tired, it's just a sleep fest. But today I actually had time because before I walked over to the gym, I took a nap. It's kind of cool. We didn't used to like that when you were younger, but when you're older, it's a lot more fun to take a nap. I'll tell you that. And so I really wasn't tired. So I put on some meditation music, put on my do not disturb so nobody would call me. during that time. I use meditation for a lot of different things. In this case, I asked to go back to the beginnings of time, or the beginnings of what we would consider time or our existence, and kind of what that would look like. And I found myself in this, it's almost like I was inside of a computer, like CPU or something. And it was, at least that's what it felt like. Felt like I was in a very small me, a small particle of me inside of this box or this place that was just flashing lights, and just, it was like the beginnings of something very unorganized, chaotic lights, and felt like energy was surging, but it didn't feel very normal or organized or even or steady. And there was like lots of ones and zeros around. I took it to mean that I was inside of some kind of computer. Now, I'm not saying that I'm arguing for a simulated life or artificial simulation. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying that it could be symbolic. But this is what I was feeling. And it was really interesting because I was walking through and I was seeing all what I would normally see on a computer board, a board, electronic board, a motherboard inside of a computer. And that's what I was experiencing. And there was a hum that was going on and a pulsing. And it began to actually start to organize some. The lights became these pillars of light that were kind of bluish white. And they weren't exactly like separated by much. It just became this really interesting pulsating glow of blue white type light. And I didn't know what to make of it. But I did end up hearing my guide talk about some things. And, to be honest, I don't remember what they are now. They seemed pretty profound when I was hearing them. It really pushed me into a really hard reflection, because if you look at our life, or okay, I'll just talk about my life. And if you look at life in general, or existing in what we consider reality, I mean, all of it seems like it's playing out like a movie. And it seems to be, to me, my experience is that everything is changing every day. And everybody that I talk to, it seems, is experiencing this weird shift in this energy that's different than usual. Most people don't know how to describe it, but for some reason, it seems like, I talk about this in podcasts too, that, our past is being rewritten, our moments are being rewritten as we go. Our future that we think is supposed to be here is not here, it's not coming. It doesn't come out like we thought it would. It just seems like everything is ever shifting and ever changing, and almost nothing that I seem to be experiencing seems entirely real. I mean, after all, our experience is really built in our mind, our brains, between our ears and our skull, through the input of the five senses that we have into a dark space of where the brain processes these things through those inputs, through our experiences, through our conditioning, through lots of different things. And it is an immaculate device, our brain, because it really puts together an experience. And even when we go to sleep at night, it still wants to continue giving us experiences. It has to have input. And so where does that input come from? Where do our thoughts come from? Are we really us, or me inside of me? Or are we us inside of us? Or is that just our mind, our brain playing tricks on us, so to speak, to make it feel like we're not, that we're separate from this reality? Maybe it's that we really are the reality, that we are the entire reality, that we're not just part of it, but we are it. And maybe everybody that's out there is not real. I don't know. It's kind of really hard to imagine. There's a lot of things to talk about, and it's very hard to put it together. I mean, if you look at things that are going on in our life all the time, I mean, you can look at conspiracy theories and things like that, ideas of things that are not really what they're presented to be, false flags, all different kinds of things. I know I'm going in a little different direction here, but there's kind of a point. We claim to have gone to the moon in 1969. Maybe we did, but I can tell you, at least from my perspective, that whatever they showed us on the TV during that time, and then all the other lunar missions and things like that. That certainly was not, or didn't feel like, or appear to be real footage. That we probably filmed that somewhere else. I don't know that for sure, but whoa, my goodness, all the Apollo film seems to have disappeared. And for some reason, we lost the technology to go back to the moon when the technology was probably no more than the circuit board in my toaster. I mean, there's just so many things that are going on that just don't seem real at all. I mean, AI right now is incredibly immaculate and growing every day and expanding, and it is not hard at all. I can go type in something in an AI program and develop a very realistic movie or character or person and story that it looks by all accounts as a real thing. Now, granted, when we tried to do things like that in the past or pull the wool over the public's eyes, I mean, it was a little bit more difficult. I mean, back when we just had radio, you could easily create all kinds of scenarios out there that people couldn't even remotely even look at or try to prove or disprove. Nowadays everybody has a phone, everybody has a TV and internet and computers, and so it's a lot easier to look at these things. But I can tell you what's really real out there is very, very, very hard to decipher from what is not real. It is absolutely crazy, but existence is it is just such a vague thing to realize that here I am against tremendous odds as a human being and going through this life. And many times, although there seems to be purpose behind it, yes, I think there's purpose. But at the same time, it feels like we're just going through some experience that in many ways may be pre planned or predetermined for what we are supposed to experience. And if you look at reincarnation, for example, it definitely supports that idea. And when I do regressions and hypnosis, there seems to be a lot of at least circumstantial evidence that there are lives lived before the ones we have now, or if we're just intricately wound up with all the connection to everything that there is. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. And now that I'm remembering kind of some of the message that I was given in my meditation, and that kind of jogged my memory there, I was being told by my spirit guide that she was talking about me, but I'm sure that she's talking about everybody, that I am intimately connected with everything there is, part of everything, and everything is part of me, and that there's absolutely nothing that I cannot do or experience or have or ask for or receive. All of that is possible. She made me believe through the messaging that I could absolutely do anything I wanted to and have anything I wanted to. And I know that's very true. And I think she was talking about not necessarily manifesting things, because manifesting things would mean that you're creating something or trying to create something that you don't already have. But she was saying it's more like realizing what you have and bringing it up to the surface, and then putting it in your perception and your purview, and then utilizing that, whatever it is you're asking for. So maybe $1 billion, right? That would be kind of cool. Everybody would love to have that problem, at least for a while. Just a lot of things you could ask for. She also really, really drilled down into that we are part of this immaculate and very, very detailed and complicated existence. And she was also kind of showing me this interesting scenario where my reality is wrapped up in this little globe. And, in this, what we would consider our world and all the experiences we're having here, that is kind of like a soul. In other messages I've gotten from her, the soul seems like it's kind of encased in a orb. That's the right word I'm looking for. But she was showing me this very thing, is that there's just this infinite amount of orbs in this sea of whatever it was. It was this, felt like water. And like I said, much of this is probably symbolic and it may not be entirely real. I've kind of learned that over my time doing readings and working with people and getting messages that sometimes it's not literal, but you have to kind of go in and research some of these things and see what the symbology means to better understand it. But it still doesn't, I don't know if it entirely sets me at ease about what existence really is. I mean, that the thoughts that we have in our mind, for example, are those really us? Or are they really coming from somewhere else? Are we just simply some kind of receiver for this human body to have an experience? We're just being downloaded with inputs and upgrades. Well, sort of like a computer might do for peripherals or something like that. I don't know if I'm answering any questions as much as I'm asking more of them. Just like everybody else would, probably really, really want to know where we really come from and answer some of the questions like, if this is existence or we feel like we exist, where does that come from? Where do I really come from? Yes, I feel like I'm human, I'm solid and all that, but where does existence really come from? And if our universe is what we're being taught it is, that it started with this little spark and this big bang and boom, there we go, and there's universes all over the place, all kinds of other universal bubbles. This is just one of them. Where does all that come from? It's hard to imagine that there hasn't always been something. How could this reality, even the one we're talking about, that seems so complicated and vast and complex, come out of nothing? I mean, by our own rules of the universe, something doesn't come from nothing. Very likely impossible for something to come from nothing. So if something has always been, what that really racks your brain, doesn't it? If there's always been something, was there ever a beginning? Or will there ever be an end? I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I don't think that we as human beings or souls or spirits really actually not go on. I think we just change form. I'm sure just like you, I hope that all the memories of any experiences I've ever had in any lifetimes or existences get to stay, because I don't know about you, but I've had a pretty enriching life and a lot of cool experiences, and I've learned a lot, and I certainly do not want to forget any of this. And I'm hoping that there is some type of repository, if nothing else, we can go tap into and have memories and go look back at that. I mean, a lot of people talk about that there's a central database in this universe or this existence. Some people call it the Akashic Records. Some people call it all kinds of things. The Bible calls it the Book of Life, where every thought, every word, every action, every thought, everything is recorded. And actually, jogging my memory again, my spirit guide was telling me the same thing in my meditation, that literally everything we experience is captured and stored. All of us, not just me, not just anybody else that does this kind of work that I do, can access anything we want. We can learn anything we want. We can gain knowledge about anything we want. We just simply got to tap into it because we are part of all of it. And so if we are encoded so deeply into existence, whatever that is, that's a very broad topic, yes, then we should be able to draw off of that without any problem whatsoever. I mean, that's like being a librarian and working in this vast library and feeling like you can't gain any more knowledge. I mean, that'd be the silliest thing in the world. You just go find a book and read it. Well, I think that's kind of the same kind of idea with us in existence, is that we're so embedded in this library or this existence that we can actually access anything we want. And I can give you all kinds of experiences and that I've had with connecting with information and people that, there's no way logically or by the laws of the universe I should be able to do that. Although quantum science and quantum mechanics and all that are beginning to support a lot of the spirituality, spiritual gifts, metaphysical gifts, all those phenomenon, they're beginning to help us realize that. And I do believe that we do have the power and the knowledge to do anything. The problem is that the limits come from us. We are the only ones that really stand in the way of our progress or whatever it is we want. And that's probably the other part of that equation is most of us don't know what we want. Many of us are just, getting up every morning, doing the same routine, go to work, do work. People we would rather not hang out with, come home, have some dinner, and play with kids a little bit, watch TV, go to bed, do it again. Just to be staggered with a day or two off every week. I don't know about you, but I don't know if that's really existence. And if that's all we're really here for, it would be very sad to think about that. But I do think that we just really do not tap into the amount of knowledge and experience that we can actually tap into. And I would challenge you guys to really begin to look at doing that, to figure out how to do that. I charge you guys with learning to meditate. And meditation could be all kinds of ways, it could be all kinds of activities. Meditation is what you make meditation to be. Meditation really is being able to kind of centralize your mind, quiet your mind a little bit, get a little that tunnel vision, so to speak, so that all the extraneous thoughts about the day are not there, and you can concentrate on connecting with the universe or to God or your spirit guides or whatever it is that you think you're connecting with. And it doesn't really matter in many cases, as long as what you're getting is wholesome and pure and it's helping you learn. But meditation can really take you a long ways in life. It can bring you so much knowledge and so much connection. You can help so many people with it. I've gotten so many messages for people that have asked me to get them, even though I know they can do them for themselves, but that's okay. I've learned so many things. I've gone and seen so many things about the universe, about life, other planets. Not saying that's proof, but those are the journeys that I've been taken on. And it is pretty amazing when you start to see things that just might actually exist and just might actually be out there for us to experience. And we got to quit limiting ourselves and just accepting that we exist and that we have to eat and we have to work and we have to sleep and all those things. Yes, we got to do those things, but at the same time, I can tell you, there's more to life. There's more to this experience than meets the eye. And when you do regressions, when I do regressions for people, there's a lot of things that come up that are really just amazing and very revealing. And it is interesting to think that even if we don't have those lives, that those experiences are built into us and they're being tapped into to bring forth messages, to bring forth learning lessons, to bring forth experiences, things that we can use to better our lives. And I think we got to quit sitting on our backsides and just accepting life and moving through life without any purpose or any real goals. And I get it. We're still going to end up at the same place at the end of our life. We're going to all die someday. And that seems very self defeating. But the same thing, or at the same time, the fact that we do not live forever per se, at least that we know about, that it gives us much bigger fire to create a purpose and to do things in life. Imagine if we did live forever in this human body and we didn't have any expediency or urgency to do anything. I don't know if you lived for 1,000 years and you knew you were going to be living for 1,000 years, most of us would not be in a hurry to be successful or to be productive or to do anything special. But given that 7,500 years mark, that's a whole different thing because we really got to be in a bigger hurry to become something, to do something, to have experiences, to understand that it is an actual benefit to have emotions and feelings and all those things that we experience. 'Cause I just did a regression the other night with somebody, and all the lives we looked at, oh my gosh, it was extreme loneliness, and much of it was methodical and eating because it was just something to do. It was a lot of lives that we saw that were not the glory, so to speak, of having a human experience like we know them. In that moment, I told them and I told myself, it's like, we are the ones that are blessed with being able to have those things. Even though they seem to be a detriment in many ways, they are not. There are a lot of ideas out there in the reincarnation idea and model and things that have come through in my hypnosis and regressions, that other planets and other places of existence, they don't get that right. They don't get that option to have emotions and feelings and love and hate and sadness and grief and happiness and all those things. They don't get that. It's like they just go through the motions of existence and do whatever it is they're supposed to do in their day. In one of the lives the other night with that person, I mean, they were just wandering around the city, and eating measured things, and it wasn't even because it was pleasurable. It's just because it was something to do. And it's like, what am I actually doing here? And if we're not careful, we're going to be the same way in this life, and we're just going to go through the motions, walk around, work around, drink around, watch TV all the time, and really don't amount to anything. And yes, of course, we're going to end up the same way at the end. I get it. But the thing is, there's a lot of things you can do between the date of birth and the date of death. And that dash in between is the most important part, right? I know I kind of circled around a lot of things, but we do exist, whatever existence is, however you define it, however you are shown it in your own meditation or your own connection or your own experiences, it doesn't matter. I think existence is very much undefinable at this point. I could be shown a million things. You could be shown a million things in meditation. It doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's accurate. That's okay. But the thing is, we are here. We are having experiences. And according to my spirit guide, at least, we have the opportunity to do absolutely anything we want. And why aren't we? That would be the question. Why aren't we? And I'm just as guilty. I do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things. Many of my clients, get upset sometimes because of the many things that they've seen that I've gotten to do in life, and they've not done hardly anything. But I tell them it's not the point. It's like everybody has experiences. Everybody has their life. Everybody has their journey. It's not about who does better, who is got more gifts, or who has more experiences. It's not that at all. It's what is your experience and what do you want it to be. It should be tailored to you. It should be astronomically potent or pertinent to what you want it to be and not what I want it to be. But I just think that we need to tap into the source of all this more often. If we are really intricately part of that sea and that knowledge and all the experiences that are recorded across all time, then what are we doing by just, working, eating, sleeping, consuming, dying, all that? Why aren't we doing more than that? Why aren't we playing around with it, at least, if nothing else? I'm not saying you have to become a professional doing these kind of things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, even if it's just for you, why not? Meditation costs you nothing but a little bit of time. And you don't even have to spend a lot of time doing it. My meditation might have been 15 minutes. Maybe that. After that, I had to get up and try to collect those thoughts and understand what I was just seeing. Let's get busy. Let's actually do something with life. And let's just not let existence pass us by. And this experiences that we are offered and given to have, let's have them. Let's go through them. Let's become as good of a human being as we possibly can in the time we're allotted. We don't even know when that allotted time will end. And that's kind of the beauty of it as well, because we don't know if the tomorrow is coming. We have no idea. We can plan for tomorrow, but it doesn't mean it's coming. All right. So I'm going to quit ranting here. I encourage you guys to go to my website at lifebymazak.com, lifebymazak.com. On there, you'll find some contacts or contact page. You'll find products, services, blog page, stuff like that. I really would like to work with you guys. I love working with people because when I work with people, I learn as much as the client does. And we all learn. Everybody learns. It's a great experience. And I think we need to help each other through this existence, through this life, through this experience, to become as good of a human being as we can. I look forward to talking with you. I look forward to working with you. Stay strong and live your life.